Good evening and welcome to Free Press TV. I'm Michael Patterson, bringing you the news without compromise. Tonight, all eyes are on Anchorage, Alaska, where President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin held a dramatic high-stakes summit. Their meeting was billed as a possible turning point in the war in Ukraine. But after more than 2 hours behind closed doors, the outcome left more questions than answers. The summit began with all the spectacle of a superpower showdown at Joint Base Elmendorf. Putin received a red carpet welcome, even a flyover from a US B-2 bomber, symbolizing the weight of the moment. Trump's stated goal was clear. He wanted a ceasefire in Ukraine. He warned ahead of time that if Putin didn't take real steps toward peace, Russia would face very severe consequences. But by the time the summit ended, it was clear no such agreement had been reached. The two leaders emerged before cameras, smiling, shaking hands, and calling the talks constructive. Yet the substance was thin. Trump admitted, quote, "We didn't get there." Putin, for his part, vaguely claimed there was some kind of agreement but offered no details, and gave no indication that his position on Ukraine had softened. Plans for a working lunch were cancelled, and the summit wrapped earlier than scheduled. While Trump emphasized his personal rapport with Putin, calling him friend, he failed to secure the concrete commitments he came for. This matters for several reasons. First, it underscores how difficult it is to push Putin toward compromise, even under intense diplomatic pressure. He continues to insist that the so-called root causes of the conflict, his words, must be addressed before peace can be achieved. That language is consistent with his demands for Ukrainian demilitarization, something Kyiv and its allies reject. Second, the failure to reach even a symbolic agreement weakens Trump's credibility. Just days ago, he suggested that if he were president earlier, the war might never have started. Yet today we see no breakthrough, only optics. And third, the choice of Alaska as the meeting ground carries its own symbolism. Anchorage has historically served as a halfway point for us. Russia diplomacy, a reminder of Cold War encounters when both sides wanted dialogue but distrusted one another. Meanwhile, the summit is happening as US businesses face growing strain from Washington's tariff policies. A new study by the JPMorgan Chase Institute reveals midsize companies, firms generating between $10 million and $1 billion a year, are being squeezed hardest under the current tariff regime. These businesses are facing an estimated $82 billion in added costs. Why is this important? Because mid-size firms make up about a third of the US private sector economy. They provide millions of jobs and drive growth in local communities. Unlike corporate giants, they don't always have the resources to absorb price hikes or renegotiate with global suppliers. So while Trump is projecting strength on the international stage, the ripple effects of his economic policies are being felt back home. Rising import costs mean higher prices for wholesalers, retailers, and ultimately, consumers. The geopolitical implications are the bigger question now. What comes next? Trump said he plans to brief Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, but a hoped-for three-way summit between Trump, Putin, and Zelensky never materialized. For Putin, this summit was about optics, showing Russia still has a seat at the global table despite sanctions and international condemnation. For Trump, it was about demonstrating statesmanship, particularly as US elections loom. But for Ukraine and for Europe, nothing has changed on the ground. The war grinds on. Cities remain under siege. Civilians continue to pay the price. The political optics for both leaders. It's also worth noting how both leaders used the stage for their own political purposes. Putin echoed Trump's claim that the war might not have started on his watch, a clear attempt to strengthen Trump's narrative at home. And Trump, once again, dismissed Russia's meddling in the 2016 US election as a hoax, a reminder that his political battles remain deeply intertwined with foreign policy. In conclusion, so where does this leave us? The Anchorage summit delivered powerful images, but little substance. Trump got the headlines he wanted, and Putin got the stage he needed. But the central issue, peace in Ukraine, remains unresolved. And as tariffs hit US businesses hard, the intersection of foreign policy and domestic economics is becoming harder to ignore. The bottom line: for all the pomp and ceremony, the world is still waiting for a breakthrough. Until then, the war in Ukraine continues, and America's economy continues to absorb the cost of global uncertainty. Michael Patterson, Anchor. You're watching Free Press TV. I'm Michael Patterson, and this is the news without compromise. Stay with us for continuing coverage.